What's going on YouTube? Hayden back making another brand new Crypto TV episode. In today's video, we'll be looking at Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, as well as Chainlink to Bitcoin. As always, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications. Otherwise, let's jump into today's episode. So obviously, we're going to be doing some technical analysis, looking at Litecoin and Bitcoin. Obviously, looking at the aftermath of the breakdown that we had, the correction that we saw, where we're going to be heading after the breakdown or the correction, at like where are we looking to move up to next in position. And then I have an article talking about Bitcoin and its potential use case, so I do want to hear your guys' opinion on that. Otherwise, let's jump into today's episode. So I'm on the coin market cap, we're at 203 bill, 24-hour volume 10.6, and a Bitcoin dominance of 54.1, which is higher than yesterday. We have a lower market cap, and then, or I believe a slightly higher market cap than yesterday, and then a 24-hour volume of 10.6, which is about the same that we saw. Scrolling down, you guys can see that only 3 out of the 10 blue chip cryptos, or top 10 cryptos, are up. So whatever you want to call it, you can see that only 3 are in green, and they're not up by much. XRP up by 0.07, we have Stellar up by 0.01, and then we have Monero up by 0.23. Otherwise, they're all in red. So we're definitely seeing a consolidation phase after this pullback that we saw. Was it a good pullback? Like, was it a good correction? Did we need it? You know, it's something that we're gonna have to answer when we look at the technical analysis. But before I jump into that, you guys can see that we are kind of stabilizing out. You can see that 2 days ago we had the downtrend, we had the breakdown, the correction, and now you can see we're kind of breaking back up. You can see on all these graphs right here, there is some sort of stability that is happening right now. We're going to check that out in a second. But before I do that, I'm on Cointelegraph right now. This is Bitcoin is anything useful, anything but useful, says ex-Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen, by William Suberg was the article. So basically, I didn't want to just briefly look over this article. I wanted to hear you guys' feedback on this. But basically, someone is a critic to it. They're not really sure whether or not Bitcoin is useful. And as you guys can see, Jeanette Allen says that it is anything but. She then says it's not used for a lot of transactions. It's not a stable source of value. It's not an efficient means of processing payment. It's very slow in handling payments. It is very difficult. It has a difficulty because of its very decentralized nature. So here's my question to you guys. Do you think that she is referring to all cryptocurrencies or just Bitcoin in specific? I know that there are a lot of other cryptos that are a lot faster. XRP, Monero, Litecoin are a lot faster transaction time than Bitcoin itself. So do you think she's just anti-Bitcoin, or do you think she's anti all the coins? Do you think that she's wrong in terms of Bitcoin being a slow transaction time, and in reference to all of the coins, like maybe she's referring to Bitcoin as them all? Do you think she's right when she says that all of them are, you know, not useful in terms of transaction? I'm also curious as to what you think. It then says, I could see a bubble when there is one, and to me the entire space has been the mother and the father of all financial bubbles, and now it's going to burst, he told Cointelegraph. So that's another thing too. Do you guys think that the bubble already happened, or do you think we're due to go lower? Because from this article that was posted yesterday, they're thinking that this bubble that we are seeing on Bitcoin is going to go much lower. So obviously on that note, I do want to move that over to, you know, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, because I did want to point out that even in these down markets, there are coins that do quite well. So even if you look at the coin market cap, I want to show you guys something. So we're in this down market. You've known that we, you know, fell by like 6 or 7% as of yesterday or 2 days ago. And the thing to note is, even in this, you know, down market, there are a lot of coins that still prosper and do quite well. Chainlink is up as #1 at 45 cents. It is up 12%, 12.24%. Now, as to why, I can't find exactly an article that states why the coin is up. So we can obviously just see if there is some technical value on the charts that will help explain furthermore why the coin is doing a lot better than all these other coins. As you guys can see, Litecoin fell downwards while Chainlink rose up. So there are coins that do bounce upwards when we see these spikes in volume. So one thing to note right now is that we did break down from our downtrend. That is very well known. You guys can see. I know I was calling a bullish breakout because that's kind of how things were going. We were at 50-50 on the relative strength index. You guys can see we were in a descending triangle. We held bottom support quite well, and we were below the high-low MMA. So usually when we see things of that nature, we tend to break and move up towards the high-low MMA. Now, I did say, obviously, that we could see a bearish move, and that is what happened. But I also try to tell you guys that don't invest in the coin until we get to see that confirmation. So, as you guys can see, there wasn't anything really that told us there was a confirmation yet. I mean, you could have been tricked on this one right here, but this is still in play. And then you guys could see we had 3 red candles, and then we saw a vigorous movement. So it's a very strong movement. You can see here, this was the strong movement to invest in. This is what we're looking for. And then you saw it broke down, so you'd infer that it's going to go lower. So then trying to figure out how low it's going to go, like once it enters into the relative strength index, how low will we see? And then as you guys can see, we fell much lower. Obviously, these are all good buying opportunities. Very hard to call as to how low this coin will go, but if you looked on like did some more TA and you kind of scrolled it back, you could see where exactly those areas were. So if you looked prior, you saw the breakdown, you could infer that we were going to head towards probably around that point where that wick and candle meet, and that's pretty much where we ended up going. We did retrace back up, and you can see we're pretty much right at this area right now, that level. So we kind of did level out a little bit. We are still oversold in terms of being on the relative strength index, so I do think we're going to pull up a little bit higher on the 4-hour. But otherwise, yes, we did have a down day. Bitcoin, Litecoin, they all did. I did tell you guys that it is very possible to. Obviously, I wasn't for certain sure that we were going to be breaking bullish. Otherwise, I would have said it like that. But yes, it was a chance that it was going to break down, and that's pretty much exactly what it did. I'd like to inform you guys though to buy into things when you see the movement after. Don't wait until we're right about to break out, because then you don't know which way it's going to go. But if you ride this wave down and you bought down here, you could theoretically sell now and make some profit. Moving on though to Bitcoin. As you guys can see, Bitcoin did a similar thing. The issue with Bitcoin, and like I said yesterday, there was really no lines of movement. There was no ascending triangle, descending triangle forming. You could see we bounced off this as support, traded sideways, and just could not hold resistance. Another good thing is, though, we are oversold right now on the relative strength index, so that does give us some potential to kind of move up slightly. And I think the next call is just for us to kind of retrace and test this green line of support once again, or currently a resistance, because we are due to go up back above this high-low MMA very soon. I do want to just jump over to the daily and kind of just get a better overall view of where the price is at right now. Again, the daily doesn't show that we're oversold yet. We're kind of only at 37, so plenty of potential to move lower. But otherwise, you guys can kind of see where we were. You saw we drew this Elliott wave that kind of spiraled into here. We broke bearish, and then we retraced right back up. So that was very interesting in my understanding. It's almost as if you could like draw this a little bit lower right there, because you guys can see, I know I don't say to do the wicks, but you can see how these wicks connect right here. So that's very interesting there. And then you could potentially move this out even smaller, but you guys can see the consolidation that we had here for a very long time, and that's why I was very certain that we were going to see some sort of move in play very quickly, because you can see all of this volatility right here. There's so much movement. There was really no days where we kind of just flatlined, and this was the flatlining moment. Now with this triangle being moved, you guys can see I do have this ascending triangle very slightly moved. You can see where we have used it as a support So I'm going to delete that really quick. But you can see we have one, we have another where the wicks are. The wicks is here, the wick is here. Support clearly right here. And now you can see we're hitting support there. So I do think this is the lowest it's going to go if we use this ascending triangle, you know, the symmetrical triangle. And I still think there is the potential that we could still be, you know, funneling down into some sort of extended symmetrical triangle. You know, we are setting higher lows still, even if you look at it. We had a low of 5,834, because I know you guys want me to call it out loud. You can then see right here it's 59.89. You can then see here it's like 6,096. We move up and it's like 6,150, and now we move up again and it's 6,240. So even though we broke bearish, even though we fell down, you can still see that there is some sort of uptrend forming. You can see right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are still moving up. We are still setting higher lows. You can see how it kind of got funneled in there. So I do think this is all leading up to a bigger move. I think this is a very small matriculated move. I think that there's going to be a much bigger effect on the market fairly soon. I just think that is a very small glimpse of what the future is going to be holding. You can see Ethereum rejected its high-low MMA and fell lower. You could see it found a support right at around 193, currently trading at 194, so slightly above. Nothing too crazy. You can see it's back above in its relative strength index at around 29, pretty much just running on that line of oversold. But otherwise, I think it's all just going to now accumulate, trade sideways until it kind of starts to form another pattern, and then obviously we can call it from then. And lastly, Chainlink. So in a market that was fairly bearish from all you guys have saw, and the downtrend and the fact that we broke down, you guys can see Chainlink has been doing the exact opposite. So obviously in economics, as you guys know, when the markets do bad, there are still coins that flourish. Or sorry, what I mean is in stocks, when the economy is doing bad, there are still stocks that flourish. For example, when we see a dip in economy, we see fitness gyms and stuff, they tend to lose share because not many people can afford that, and it's kind of like this extra thing. But then places like McDonald's that are cheap in food tend to flourish and do much better because that's where the money moves to. So this is another instance. There was some sort of boom that obviously Chainlink saw that is making it go much higher during a down market. So there are coins to look at. When we see majority of the market move down, you can see that there are still coins that benefit from it. And one thing to add, I just wanted to draw that on, is this is forming now an ascending triangle. Very interesting. So obviously we have done a lot of ascending triangles prior, and I usually see them breaking bearish, but it's interesting to see that Chainlink is now trading its second time. This is kind of a double top, which is interesting too. Usually these reverse down, so I don't think this is going to go much higher. It definitely could, but I do think it has a little bit more consolidation to do before it's able to move up in value. We are still trading above the high-low MMA, which is good, but you can see the ascending triangle forming. We could probably trade out in here and then see a move to the upside. But otherwise, that's going to sum up today's video. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's episode. Peace. Check out the Crypto TV merch. It's linked in the description.